Welcome to Drone Exam Simplified. The channel is focused on one outcome, and that's helping you pass the FAA Part 107 drone exam. That's the job. The approach here is different from traditional ground schools because we use this Part 107 pass system, which is built on two components working together. First, 60 FAA rules reduced to short trigger phrases, and second, the FAA Examiner Logic Framework, or FELF. FELF is the order of decisions the FAA expects you to run through on the exam questions. On the test, knowing individual rules is not enough. You're being evaluated on how you process situations. So, for every rule in the system, you'll see the rule, of course, why it exists, a real-world example, and a trigger phrase designed for fast recall. The system is available now. It's linked below or in the bio. In this video, we're about to lock in the 10 airspace rules that answer the core operational questions on the Part 107 exam. That's where flight is allowed, when authorization is required, and what checks must happen first. This is the same decision structure used by pilots in command, and we'll move through it in the same way. Let's get started. Oh yeah, before we continue airspace rules usually change. Well, not usually, but FAA do change airspace rules. LAANC grids change, and temporary flight restrictions can appear overnight. So subscribe to keep those updates in front of you automatically so you're not relying on outdated assumptions. Anyways, let's go ahead and start with Section 1. Section 1 covers airspace and authorization. This includes controlled versus uncontrolled airspace, when authorization is required, when it isn't, and how to verify before flights. Every flight begins with this check, and the decision is made at step 1 of the FELF. The goal here is not memorization, it's consistent decision making. Okay, rule 1. Controlled airspace requires ATC authorization. Here's the context. Controlled airspace exists because manned aircraft are actively operating there. Departures, arrivals, and transitioning through. Air traffic control manages that entire traffic flow. Your drone entering that space without authorization introduces risk. From the FAA's perspective, that's interference. Here's an example. You're operating near a Class C airport. No authorization has been issued. That operation isn't permitted regardless of visible traffic. Here's the trigger phrase. If controlled, get clear. If controlled, get cleared. Short and deliberate because that's how decisions are made under pressure. One note, airspace questions usually break down when the airspace itself has not been identified first. The order matters. Okay, from here on, we're going to move forward through the rest of airspace and authorization in drill mode. The purpose here is to recall under sequence. Each rule fits into a specific decision layer, and we're going to stay with that order. Let's go. Rule 2. This rule sits at the very start of the process. Once this airspace category is correctly identified, no authorization steps follow. That's why identification comes first. Trigger phrase, if Class G, fly free. Moving forward. Some airspaces exist to protect sensitive activity. When airspace is designed as prohibited or restricted, access is controlled by default. On exam questions, responsibility is always assigned to the PIC, not the facility, not a chart, not the circumstance. Trigger phrase, if restricted, get permission. Rule 4, this check is tied to timing. Conditions change without notice. A legal operation earlier in the day does not guarantee legality later in that same day, even in the same location. Verification happens before launch. Trigger phrase, if launching, check TFRs. Rule 5, proximity to an airport doesn't answer the question by itself. The next step is identifying the airspace class. Once that's known, authorization requirements become clear. Trigger phrase, if near airport, check class. Very simple. We hit our first rapid recall checkpoint, and the purpose of this is to give you the opportunity to say the first 5 trigger phrases out loud This helps with the recall. Pause the video if need to, but I think me talking long enough has given you the opportunity to say them out loud. If you didn't, yeah, pause the video. I'm going to keep moving forward. Rule 6. From here, the focus shifts kind of to traffic priority. The FAA establishes this clearly. Manned aircraft always have the right of way. Trigger phrase, if manned, I yield. Rule 7. Priority alone isn't sufficient. When another aircraft technically yields, separation must still be maintained. Trigger phrase, if aircraft nearby, stay clear. Rule 8. Operations over people are restricted by default. Unless a specific allowance applies, flight over individuals is not permitted. Trigger phrase, if people below don't go. I kind of like this one because it kind of rhymes. I mean, some of them rhyme, but this is one of my favorites. If people below don't go. Rule 9. Moving vehicles introduce variables the FAA doesn't accept casually. Unless the occupants are participating in the operation, overflight is prohibited. Trigger phrase, if vehicles move, don't cruise. Rule 10. Emergency response areas are protected. Even well-intended operations are treated as interference if they affect response activity. Trigger phrase, if emergency active, stay back. Okay, we're at the second rapid recall checkpoint. You already know what to do. Pause the video if need be. I'm going to continue to move forward. And just like that, we've completed the first section. That's 10 airspace rules that you've already rehearsed twice, and that's been under 10 minutes. That's how the PASS system organizes every rule inside the FAA examiner logic framework. Each decision happens in the correct order. When the order is consistent, incorrect answers on the exam becomes easier to eliminate, and the correct answers, they just pretty much stand out right in front of your face. You can continue with the free videos. They'll take you through every rule, or you can work through the full system with the framework already applied and structured for repetition. Both routes lead to the same destination. One simply reduces friction, and I'll see you in the next video. Arrivederci.